Okay. Hi, Patricia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Douglas?
Doing fine. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. Nice to have you with us.
Great to be with you.
Let's see. Your book is called Hacking the God Code, which sounds like a very ominous title. It's probably not a light and fluffy book by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll get into it in a second. I want to find out a little bit about you first. On your bio, it says you're an internationally acclaimed author and thought leader. So you've written other books, I take it.
This is my 13th published book, and I have a couple of others that were not officially published. I'm a prolific, you could say I'm a prolific author, and I also write screenplays. I have about 4 or 5 of those out, so I
Oh,
keep writing.
fantastic. So you are a writer by trade, yeah?
Yeah, I didn't think I would be when I was younger, but it just kind of ended up being that way.
Well,
Funny how
there's
life path is.
yeah, there's a lot of people out there writing, but not a lot of people can make a living at it. It's not that easy, you know?
No, well, you can't. I don't make a living at it either. In other words, yes, you do get royalties and things, but you don't quit your day job unless you're getting those $1 million books out, which I don't do in my genre, which is new thought, spirituality, conspiracy, call it what you want. It's not a best-selling novel type of category. But anyway, it is what it is.
Well, it is what it is, but at least you're doing something you enjoy doing and are able to do it. You know, some people uh, actually can't do what they want to do because they have to work so much doing something else just to eat and pay the rent. I know musicians in that category who have very little time to play music.
It's when you're an artist because it's a form of art, isn't it? You need other sort. I think that authors anyway, most authors, yes, you've got a book out. In my case, lots of books out, but you also do conferences, do private sessions, whatever it does to augment that income. And the book facilitates your presence and your posture in the given genre and community.
I agree. Well, let's get into your book because this looks like it's a big topic, so we want to spend as much time as we can. Without giving too much away, we want people to buy the book. We don't want to tell them everything that's in it. Okay, so Hacking the God Code. Explain the title.
Well, okay, so we now have a group of very powerful transhumanists who are pushing the agenda, the AI agenda, at every level. So we have um, Neuralink with Elon Musk. We have the WEF talking about hacking the human being. In fact, it's really interesting. I came up with that title before a man named Yuval Harari, who is a representative of the World Economic Forum, came out with the words humans are hackable animals. I couldn't believe when I heard him say that. And his spiel was that humans, they know how to do us better. So he said, um, humans up until now, this belief in God and this soul thing. He actually said this in a video. And, the idea of immortality, that's over. We can hack the DNA, the human DNA, and we can alter it. And we believe that we are on the way to inventing, creating a new human being, we call it the human 2.0, that will be linked up and hooked up to AI, computer central, and we will have implants and we will have wearables, the phone being already something that's got us hooked on AI and computers, but they want it in us. They want us to either swallow it or implant it or inject it. So the book it may sound like it's out there, but these leaders are already telling us this is where they're taking us. So my intent with the book is to really expose that, really expose how they intend to alter the human DNA so that we're rewritten at the DNA level, which is a big story. I mean, we're talking genetic manipulation, genetic editing to alter the course of human development, to alter and change the meaning and the essence of the human being. And I can't stand for that. So that's what the book is, that's what I'm on about, let's say. That's what I'm exposing. It's a big book. It's 370 pages, and it goes into a lot of detail about what's being imposed and what we can do about that.
Couple of points here. Number one, back in the 1930s, Hitler was real big into eugenics, which was the start of all of this, of creating the super race, the Aryan race, the master race, okay? There was talk of eugenics in the sense for good, being able to eradicate birth defects and things like that, rather than where he was going with it. Now, that was before they were able to do, they had DNA. Now with DNA, you can do it at a much more specific level. From what I gather from what you were talking about, what was the man's name again? Okay. That sounds like power grab to me, that this is the way that we can control human beings.
Yeah, and the thing is that the discussion of eugenics and the Nazis, first of all, I think we have Nazis walking amongst us now. But it's one thing to be talking about altering the DNA by splicing it with other DNA, which they're also doing, which I'm also concerned about and I discuss in the book. But this is different. This is about merging the human being with technology, merging biological man with AI, so that we, in essence, become part of a mind, of a hive mind. And there's also a lot of talk about how they know now that human DNA is an incredible storage of knowledge, of data, sorry. So I believe that they want to incorporate our DNA in this gigantic multi-global computer network, so that instead of just operating on 0-1, they're using 0-1 would be obviously the system, the code for computers. They can use the DNA codes to store more information. That is what's going on in our laboratories, and people don't really believe it or don't think about it. But that is the trend. We have lots of people in universities and all these big pharma. I mean, the trend is to transhumanism, taking the human being to the next step, which is linking up with wearable, inserted, implanted technology that links your mind, body, and I think spirit to the big AI, which I call the Borg, just for fun.
Well, this is the other thing that came to mind while you were talking about that was the Matrix. I mean,
that's right.
That's what it's about, right?
That is exactly what it's about. In fact, I quote the Matrix in the book and say, "Are you ready?" Something about the red pill and the blue pill. If you're ready for the red pill, this is it. And that it's insipid, because when you see people walking around in the streets with the cell phone in their face, they can literally walk into a truck. I've had people walk into me. They're completely oblivious to the world around them, which is also very frightening, considering society is getting more and more violent because people are more and more frustrated and unhappy and poor. And there are more criminals out there looking for just that person who is so unaware of the environment that he can go right to the bag or pocket or whatever and rob the person and never even know, because they're glued to the screen.
Oh, yeah.
And so that is one of the steps of taking humanity from being biological, from the sense of being integral, to being glued to and eventually controlled by technology.
You know what's even worse than the phone are those glasses, the Google glasses.
Unbelievable. I reject it all. I don't even I have a cell phone because we all need a phone. And here on this island, I don't have a landline, but I reject it. I keep it outside when I can. I don't want it even in the house. I understand that it's a drug for a lot of people, and I don't want to get hooked on it. So I make very conscious efforts to avoid being glued to technology. I don't have a television. I rarely use the phone, and I'm consciously aware of reducing, wherever possible, any connection with technology.
I can remember back in the early 90s when internet was, hey, it's a new thing. And we went out and bought the first computer. And I started thinking about this, thinking, wow, this is great because now we can connect the world and maybe we'll finally achieve world peace. People will be able to talk to each other, find out about each other, that we're not all so scary if we have different skin colors or different religions, and it can bring us all together. My feeling now is that it has done exactly the opposite.
I agree. Unfortunately, everything has a good and bad aspect. So it's the tool is not the problem, it's how it's used that's the problem. So as you said, it has the potential for extraordinary good, but it has been I don't dare say Shanghai. It has been corrupted by the porn industry, the controlled media, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's really good to unplug, especially that they're marketing how cool it will be to have an RFID chip in your arm. I mean, in Switzerland, in Sweden, there's a company now that is already not demanding it of their employees, but encouraging greatly that the employees all have the RFID chip because they get to wave their hand over the lock on the door and they get to get at the vending machine. They don't have to put any coins in. God forbid we should have to put a coin in a machine, right? And so selling the idea of convenience and hip is convincing people to insert these chips inside them. And this is how it works. It's insipid. It's like the first step, the phone and the ubiquitous attention to whatever. I mean, when you're sitting in a restaurant with your family, you've got 4 people at the table and everybody's glued to the cell phone. It's like, why bother to spend the money to go out together when there's no communication? And what is so much more important on the phone than enjoying conversation with each other? So we've lost that. And it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah, I agree. When I see that at a restaurant, I just shake my head because half the time I'll leave my phone in the car if we're going to a restaurant. And for that time that we're sitting there, it's FaceTime.
Yeah, and it should be an enjoyable time for interacting, not just shoving the food into your mouth. So we really need to see some changes here. But the case of the book is going deeper than that. It's really going into how these people in power are intent, and they make no bones about it. So this is not a conspiracy theory. They're openly telling us they're going to take us to what they call the Internet of Bodies, where you will be monitored, your health will be monitored by Computer Central, and your brain waves can be monitored. And don't you think that if they can read the brain waves, they can also send signals into the brain waves?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thought control. That's right in there. Yeah.
Do you know Neuralink?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know about Neuralink?
No.
Elon Musk has this project now that he's going to launch. He's been testing it on poor animals. Some of them died, and now he's going to test it on humans. It's called Neuralink. They drill a hole in the skull and they insert not a chip, but an entire mini computer in the skull so that it links to neurons in the brain and they can basically control the human being. The excuse for this is, the reason, let's say, is that it will help paraplegics. You know, the drill. It will help paraplegic people with spinal injuries, etc. But the reality is, I don't want anything drilled into my brain. I love my brain. And
I hear you.
We human beings have to honor the sovereignty of our being and push away this very dangerous trend where they want to take us. So that's what I'm trying to scream out about in this book.
Okay, great. Patricia, we do have to wind this up. We are out of time. The book is called Hacking the God Code. My guest is Patricia Cori. The book is out now. It's available?
It's been out for a couple of months, and it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and you can go into your local bookstore and ask them to order it for you.
Okay, great. Last question. Do you have a website you want to give out?
Yes, my website, thank you for asking. It's patriciacori.com, and Cori is spelled C-O-R-I. And there people can also find my YouTube channel and other information.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming on. I know we didn't even scratch the surface on this, a big topic, but we got a taste of it. And if you want to find out more, please buy the book and read the book. Thank you again for coming on. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot, Douglas. You take care.